Hi all. We will wait for 5 minutes for the other participant to join, and we will start the session by 10:15. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Sure, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to all present here for the 5 days FDP session on generative AI. And I'm so grateful to welcome Jaikumar sir for providing the session on generative AI. And also, he has the excellent knowledge in the languages C, C++, .NET, and SQL. And he has done 7 international and 7 national publications. And he also acted as a resource person for 2 seminars, which is virtual reality and augmented reality. And he has almost 9+ years of experience. I welcome you, sir. And I welcome all the participants, and I welcome Sakida ma'am, who is the founder of CEO Pencil Bits, continuously organizing these kind of webinars for the development of people's knowledge. I welcome you, ma'am. Once again, I welcome you all for the 5 day session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Shall we start the session, ma'am?
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. We can start the session.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Yes, good morning once again. Myself, Jaikumar, from Hindustan College of Arts and Science. I have been working as an assistant professor. I belong to the Department of Cognitive Systems, Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning. And once again, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude and thankful to Pencil Beats for providing me this wonderful opportunity to share some of the basic information about generative artificial intelligence. And I believe that everyone, especially the participants, could see my slides. Are you able to see the slides? Yes. Okay. So here in this 5 day FDP, we have been collecting much more information on a daily basis regarding the introduction, mid-level, and the complicated level, and the complications, benefits, etc. of generative artificial intelligence. So I would like to contribute in the form of informations to all the participants who are virtually connected with me. So that definitely the takeaway will be most of the unique informations which I request each and every participants to take the takeaways to your students, so that being a faculty member, it's our primary duty, and also to make our students to get involved in research works. And most probably in this competitive world anyways, we need to update ourselves. So I would like to share some of the basic informations about generative artificial intelligence. We people, am I audible? Is my slides, is my slide is displaying? Are you able to see my slide? Is my voice clear? Is
Please
my
share
voice
your
clear?
slides in full screen.
Yes. Yes, sir. Are you able to see my slide, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yes, fine. So, yeah, most important thing is we people know very well about the importance of artificial intelligence. Wherever we go, most of our life gets connected with artificial intelligence. So even before a couple of days, I might be thinking what could be the latest technologies, latest technology called as generative artificial intelligence. There might be certain differences between general artificial intelligence and generative artificial intelligence. So here the primary aim and also the primary work of generative artificial intelligence is how effectively, with the help of artificial intelligence tools and technologies, we can uh, rephrase and also we can upgrade the text oriented informations and also video clips, audio clips, etc. Most important thing is generative AI helps us in a better way to how effectively are we going to make use of the data. So here I have clearly represented three important things: image-based data, audio-based data, and then synthetic data. All these data will be based on text. So text dealing. Whenever I deal with the text, most important thing is I need to make sure whether duplication occurs or not. None of us like to deal with duplicate values. Most important thing is generative AI help us to deal with the effective technologies and tools. How effectively are we going to deal with the data without redundancy? Because once if we permit redundancy to get increased, obviously the quality gets decreased. So with whom are we going to deal with this issue? Obviously with the help of artificial intelligence. So it will be a better choice for us to deal with generative AI to make our data and content to get represented in a better way. And most important thing is in recent years, dealing with data is not as simple as that, because we might be dealing with simple form of data, or else sometimes in various situations large volume of data set may also occur in our scenarios. So how are we going to deal with large volume of data? Definitely a manual work takes much time. It's a time consuming process. So I need to implement generative AI in order to reduce my work burden. So if you look into the third point, you may be able to clearly see the year. In 1960s itself, generative artificial intelligence was introduced. But at that particular time, especially in most of our house, we don't even had televisions. Even in maybe in certain areas, we would have heard about that. But generative AI was introduced in that particular year itself, in order to, because at that particular year, most of the developers, they had suffered in the process of dealing data. They may not be able to properly, there was no one to properly guide how to deal with large volume of data. Once after the introduction of generative AI, somehow they have managed. Are you able to see the next slide?
Your slide is not changed, madam.
Uh, are you able to see that? Okay, sir. So here, let me clearly tell you how generative artificial intelligence works. Here, most important thing is generative artificial intelligence deals with a prompt. So it's nothing but a template in which how effectively are we going to reframe text, not only text, audio, video, etc. So along with audio, video, in some other way, we need to make the data in an effective manner. So most important thing is some entertainment and also media oriented concepts should get incorporated. So artificial intelligence, once clubbed with media oriented concepts like video, graphs, etc., graphics, especially graphics, gaming consoles, etc., somehow the companies may be able to sustain their market, and also they could get sustained in the market, and they can sustain their customers. Because in recent years, suppose if any one particular drawback occurs in the process, obviously the customers will definitely switch over to some other concerns. So being a consumer and also being an organization developer or organization manager, it's the primary role. How effectively are we going to implement generative artificial intelligence in their businesses? So a general prompt is needed. So it is the initial stage, and later on, how are we going to reframe the template accordingly? So the template, along with generative artificial intelligence, along with the implementation of programming languages or algorithms or whatever it might be, it should support different varieties of images, graphics, texts, audio-based clips, etc., etc. Even if any one particular thing gets mismatched or gets unsupported, obviously it affects the quality of generative artificial intelligence. But fortunately, generative artificial intelligence could support different varieties of media oriented forms. Here, most important thing is we need to deal with various models, artificial intelligence models, because without the help of artificial intelligence models, we may not be able to sustain the market. And also, even for instance, if we download movies or if we have copied one particular movie from one system to another system, even in a short or in a single movie video clip itself, we could clearly understand what type of the version and also what type of extension is that. See, for instance, certain audio clips and also video clips might end with .mp3 or .mp4 or .mov, etc. So these are the extensions. These terms clearly represents the type of the clips with which we deal with. So generative artificial intelligence should clearly support different varieties of informations. And also, most important thing is here, generative AI brings and also it implements natural language processing. Being a faculty member, everyone knows about artificial intelligence, especially natural language processing. But I'm in a situation and a position to clearly explain about. It's just a recap about the concept of natural language processing. See, natural language processing, first of all, it makes use of the usages of two things. It implements and also it gets help from two languages. Not only two languages, but the primary languages are considered as machine language and also machine learning, deep learning. So these two algorithms, with the help of these two algorithms, NLP could easily make the computers to get communicated with humans in its own language.
Excuse me,
So
sir.
that's what. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Sorry for the interrupt.
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
screen is the first slide, sir. Did you change any slides, sir?
Are you see? Yes, ma'am. Just a minute, ma'am.
Yeah, now only it is. Can you make it as a full screen, sir? Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Are you able to see, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
It is
Are you
full
able to see
screen.
the current slide, ma'am? Are you able to see the slide? I have.
Yes, now I can see the slide, but can you make it in full screen?
Yes, ma'am. I have made, ma'am. Are you able to see, ma'am? Are you able to see my slide, ma'am?
Slide is visible but not on full screen.
Okay, okay. Just a minute, sir.
Please press 5 for full screen.
Okay, yes, sir. Is it okay, sir? I think now you could see, but when I maximize the slides, something from your end you may not be able to see. So what I have done is I have maximized without maximizing the screen. Are you able to see the changes which I'm currently making with my slides, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, continue.
Yes. Okay. So yes, fine. So, having said that, generative artificial intelligence models, so somehow we need to make use of all the informations. So, this is the slide. Actually, this slide clearly represents the introduction of NLP. We all know about the process of NLP, how it works, how it effectively delivers the output, content, etc. So, NLP in basic, it makes use of algorithms, especially machine learning and deep learning. So with the help of these two algorithms, somewhere or the other, we need to clearly make the computers to get interacted with humans in its own language. Suppose what happens if I fail to implement generative artificial intelligence along with NLP? Nothing happens, but it definitely affects the quality of my result. I should not permit that at any cost. There should not be any compromises in the quality delivery. So, based on that particular reason, it could also be considered as one of the reason for the implementation of NLP. Once NLP joined hands with generative AI, obviously nothing to worry about. I could clearly proceed with my steps. So this slide clearly explains about how effectively are we going to incorporate, and also there should be various transitions. Say for instance, in the initial stage, generative AI receives input in the form of letters, and after the process is over, it delivers the output in the form of statements. Likewise, in the initial stage, generative AI could take various parts of speech, audio clips, video clips, or images in the form of input. With the help of NLP, it gets interacted with the computers, and based on the requests shared from the customers, it delivers the qualified output to the customers. Because qualified output delivery is much important for us to make the customers to get sustained. I believe that you could see the slide change. So in this current slide, everyone could see. I don't know whether you are, I mean, you people are aware of different types. Okay, anyways, it's my duty, and also I would like to clearly tell you about certain things. Yes. So here, this slide clearly represents the basic differences between three important technical aspects. Number one, DALLE, DAL-E. Number two, Chat GPT. Number three, Gemini. So these three technical terms, in general, we call them as artificial intelligence interfaces. You know what? Interface is something like an intermediate. There should be some tool to help computer as well as myself, the human end users or the developers or whatever it might be. There should be a tool. It should act like an intermediate difference between the human and humanoid. So that's what these three things often performs. Say, for instance, out of these three technical terms, we people on our daily basis, especially the usage of Chat GPT in students' environment gets increased day by day. Being a faculty member, we have been encouraging our students. Actually, I'm not blaming all the students, but few students, they have been actually they are not at all getting into library, and the practice of reference of books gets reduced. Once after the introduction of Chat GPT, their work becomes much more easier. When we specify a title in the form of assignment, or when we ask the student to submit assignment, few students, without referring the textbooks, with the help of Chat GPT, immediately they proceed with their work, they complete the task, and they submit without reading and without understanding the actual concept behind that. So this, it's my personal suggestion. I actually, according to my personal vision, it should get reduced, and the process of reading habit should get increased. Okay, anyways, so out of these three technical terms, we people are familiar with Chat GPT. What about DAL-E and Gemini? Let me clearly tell you, DAL-E is one of the, like ChatGPT, it is one of the assistants, but with the help of DAL-E, actually few organizations who deal with large volume of data, their perfect choice could be DAL-E, because DAL-E is capable, it is one of the assistants which clearly, actually it has all the features to deal with large volume of data sets. So a person or an organization who works with large volume of data sets could make use of DAL-E. And actually, the introduction of DAL-E was in the year 2021. And later, ChatGPT came into the picture. So you people, yes. So after 1 year in 2022, especially in November 2022, ChatGPT was introduced. Actually, it also be considered as artificial intelligence powered ChatGPT. So most important thing is, at one particular task, either it could be a human being or an organization, they might get confused, either to pick ChatGPT or DAL-E. Obviously, we normally use ChatGPT. ChatGPT, like DAL-E, it can also be used for data set, but at the same time, DAL-E is the perfect choice for data set. At the same time, ChatGPT is the perfect choice for information, instant information retrieval. Instant information retrieval. So it's a time-consuming process, obviously. Only thing is that how effectively are we going to feed the information, our request in the form of statement. So the informations, the words which we normally use in ChatGPT should be clearly understandable by the machines. Suppose if we fail to provide our detailed informations, or if we mismatch, or if we misspelled the statements, obviously we should not expect the same response from the customers. Only thing is, the request should be properly typed and incorporated in ChatGPT. Once it gets accomplished, obviously our requirements could get fulfilled. and the tremendous improvement, and ChatGPT becomes much more familiar among the students fraternity. Not only the students fraternity, even it establishes its own path in each and every fields. And most important thing is open artificial intelligence could also be actually ChatGPT, DAL-E, with the help of all these aspects interfaces, a lively and also a likely a professional interaction between human and humanoids can also be gets increased in recent years. Okay, so I think you people could clearly see the picture which I have included. Okay, let me show you. Here in this slide, I have clearly mentioned the primary differences between two things. One is ChatGPT, another one is BAD. So when you compare these two things, accessibility, first of all, accessibility is much more easier in two things. BARD belongs to Google. Actually, Google, when you step into Google, you may be able to work with BAD site, BARD site. So ChatGPT, BAD. Let me tell you the difference. Accessibility is easier, number one, and service is free, first of all. So nothing to worry about the payments. Say for instance, I would like to comment about, I would like to register one point here. In recent years, we have tremendous ICT tools. A few of you might be aware of ICT tools, information and communication technologies. To be frank, artificial intelligence can also be treated as one of the information and communication technologies tools, especially. So we people are blessed that companies, major companies like Google, etc., they have been providing free services actually. So ChatGPT, without the payment, we may be able to access the service to the online. So when you compare the accessibility and also when you compare the service, non-cost services, obviously these two things provides better services for the customers. And next thing is, the only thing is, when you would like to, suppose if you would like to work with Google Bag, only thing is you need to create Google account and you need to maintain Google account. But ChatGPT is available to all. It is not necessary and also it never recommends anyone to once again create an account, or it never recommends anyone to sign up, etc. Just it provides an instant solutions, and also it provides an instant information to us, which could be used in different things. And one more thing, ChatGPT always depend upon GPT. Let me clearly tell you about the abbreviation of GPT. Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It is the abbreviation of GPT. Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And Google BAD is based on PAM2. So the abbreviation of PAM is nothing but Pathways Language Model. Of course, we have tremendous ICT tools along with ICT tools, and in our daily teaching professions, we also know how to work with different tools, especially Cisco Packet Tracer, and Rational Rows, etc. We also worked with Selenium, Eclipse, etc. So that is different topic. But the thing is, when you would like to work with one particular tool, before the usage of tool, I strongly recommend to go through the guidelines, protocols, usage factors, etc. So once we go through the usage protocols, factors, disclaimers, terms and conditions, and the guidelines, once we start to follow it, then the usage of tools, especially ICT tools like AI interfaces, will be much more easier. But few of us often commit mistakes. We never look into the guidelines. We directly step into the usage of processes. That is one of the primary mistakes, including me. Even I do the same mistake. So let us read the instructions and let us jump into the process of usage of various tools. Okay, and most important thing is, when you compare the years of introduction, these two things will be totally different. So the type of request and also the type of project or the type of accomplishment with which I deal with, based on the type of project, I can pick any one of these two things. Either I can prefer ChatGPT or I can prefer Google Bard. And after this session, during your leisure hours, I strongly recommend the participants to work with Google Bard, because few of few of you came to know about Google Bard. Maybe today all few of you might be aware and you would have used with Google Bard. Anyways, I strongly recommend you people to work with Google Bard site so that you may be able to convey all these informations on the usage of tools to your relevant students. Okay. So I believe that you could see the next slide. Okay. Anyways, right. Gemini. This slide is all about Gemini, where actually this is the third type of interface, and the first two are totally different. DAL-E is exclusively used for large data sets. ChatGPT is exclusively used to deliver the instant informations, and Gemini is the third type where I can make use of this. This actually each and every artificial intelligence interfaces has its own unique capabilities. Likewise, like the first two, one of the unique capability of Gemini is it could be exclusively used for dialogue applications. You know what? When I try to communicate with computers to the voiceovers or whatever it might be, the implementation of audio tracks and the implementation of vocals should be incorporated. So in such cases, Gemini is the perfect, actually Gemini artificial intelligence interface could be a perfect choice because Gemini was built, especially Gemini belonged to Google, like Bard. Google Gemini was built based on LAMDA. LA stands for language. Actually, LAM stands for language models. DA stands for dialogue applications. So these language models incorporated with various languages, algorithms, it clearly help us to involve ourselves in the interactions, dialogue applications, especially between human and humanoid. So these are the basic differences between the first three artificial intelligence interfaces: DAL-E, ChatGPT, Gemini. So suppose what happens if I try to implement Google Gemini when I deal with large volume of data? Nothing happens, but I may not be able to expect the expected output because Gemini provides justice, but not up to the mark. Whereas DAL-E, suppose if what happens if I wish to apply DAL-E in vocal or dialogue applications? The same thing happens. So I strongly suggest just refer the uniqueness of each and every artificial intelligence and implement based on the type and the requirements so that the perfect output could get displayed, or we may be able to improve the standards and qualified output. Yes, I would like to share some of the use cases of generative artificial intelligence. So here, we have been dealing with n number of processes on our day-to-day life. So here I have incorporated various real-time examples. Before the introduction of generative AI, there were no chatbots. Generative AI was introduced in the year 1960s. What about 1950s? Definitely, the developers and also programmers and also few organizations would have suffered much without the support of generative AI. But in recent years, we live in 2024. Nothing to worry about. Of course, with the help of ICT tools like artificial intelligence, we strongly believe that our tasks could get accomplished within fraction of seconds after the implementation of various processes. So first most important thing is chatbot clearly helps the organizations in customer services and providing better customer services. Next thing is how effectively are we going to deploy their resources? See, resources availability is important. Is important, I too accept, but deployment of resources is one of the major important thing which we need to focus on. Deployment, how effectively are we going to make use of our resources? Just maintaining the resources is not a matter of fact. I need to properly make use of that particular resources. Who is going to guide us? Generative AI. So generative AI, these are the use cases. During various, suppose when I deal with different situations, in certain situations, I may implement best cases. In certain situations, I may face worst cases. So generative AI supports me to deal how effectively am I going to deploy, how effectively am I going to deliver the customer services, how effectively am I going to implement generative AI in media-oriented things like dubbing for movies, etc., etc., and how effectively are we going to implement generative artificial intelligence in our traditional methods. In recent years, no one is, we don't have, actually, we forgot the practice of sending and receiving emails, posts to the post office. Everyone deals with, we have been dealing with emails, right? So e-platform dominates the traditional method. So generative AI helps the e-platforms to be perfectly carried out with the help of protocols. Okay. Next, I would like to share some of the basic benefits of artificial intelligence, especially generative artificial intelligence. See, first most important thing is, in most of the organizations, automation dominates the manual processes. So it becomes much more risky. Few human beings, few humans, especially employees, they are at high risk of losing their jobs. So how effectively are we going to level it up? Generative AI also provides solutions for employment balance level. So the thing is, certain tasks could be assigned to humanoids, certain tasks could be assigned to humans. So that humans, if we manage this particular situation in a correct way, then we could avoid loss of employability. Especially humanoids, certain work could be accomplished only with the help of manual processes, but it's a time-consuming processes. So somewhere or the other, in order to save time, we need to automate ourselves. So few organizations, especially in the case of content writings, etc., etc., automation becomes power. Actually, automation becomes it gets increased actually. And most of the thing is manual writings, automation writing, when you compare the quality, of course, obviously a qualified output could get delivered with a reduced within a reduced time. And most important thing is, it is not necessary for us to deal or to spend much time or to effort ourselves or to strain ourselves in order to respond to emails. Obviously, with the help of generative AI, I could easily segregate with the professional emails and then personal emails. I could clearly segregate it. And also I could represent various realistic representations of people. Whatever informations I would like to carry out, I can easily proceed with the help of generative AI. My personal as well as my official and also professional informations could also get segregated actually. And in few organizations, it's a tedious process to deal with queries. So with the help of generative AI, one of the benefits is I could clearly respond to various queries. Next comes limitations of generative artificial intelligence. Even though we live in 2025, of course, generative AI is one of the tool. It's not a 100% effective tool, to be frank. To be frank, even generative AI, after the implementation of generative AI in our work, there are certain pitfalls. So here in this slide, I have clearly represented the pitfalls. Only few. Actually, most important thing is I may not be able to find out the source of the content. All I could do is I can work with the content. So search of the source of the content is not as simple as that. In the case of generative AI, even after the implementation of generative AI, I need to effort. I need to put my effort much. I may not be able to identify the source of content. First thing. Second thing is, actually, I need to face various challenging tasks, because not all the situations are much more easier. Tasks could get actually when the complexity level of task gets increased, obviously generative AI may not be able to, somehow it could guide up to certain extent. Once if I cross the limit of extremely high complicated situations, generative AI could try, but it may not be able to provide the actual solution. So these are the limitations. Generative artificial intelligence, to be frank, artificial intelligence also has its own limitations. It may not be able to think beyond like humans. Out of the box thinking, even though we train artificial intelligence, spontaneous thinking, of course, when we compare the spontaneous thinking capacity between humans and humanoids, obviously humans could, up to certain extent or beyond the extent, humans could get succeeded. Yes, I have specified certain examples of generative artificial intelligence tools, especially in the case of, say, for instance, let us classify based on our type of work. Suppose if we work with there might be certain situations where you could deal with text. So I strongly recommend certain terms like GPT, Jasper, artificial intelligence writer, and then Lex. So these are certain available tools. Few tools might be open source, few tools might be paid one, and based on the terms and conditions, I strongly recommend you to work with text generation processes. So it's not a time-consuming process actually. Everyone knows about GPT, right? So pre-trained transformers actually, they are pre-trained, generative pre-trained transformers. So it is not necessary for me to make a machine to clearly understand what I would like to what I expect. All I need to do is the statement, my request should be properly represented in the form of statement. It should be clearly understandable to the machines and also the users. Next, when we deal with image generation, if you would like to generate image, I strongly recommend DAL-E 2, Midjourney Stable Diffusion. And I have clearly mentioned DAL-E version 2. DAL-E version 1 is strongly recommended for dataset, large volume of dataset. Couple of minutes before, we have clearly discussed about 3 different primary artificial intelligence interfaces: DAL-E, ChatGPT, Gemini. So out of the primary devices, the next version of DAL-E 2 could be strongly recommended for image generation because it perfectly works. And for music generation, I strongly recommend few few tools like Amper, Databots, MuseNet. I strongly I highly recommend the participants who likes to listen music, please do work with MuseNet so that we may be able to understand. And also the existence, few of us never know, and also including me, we don't have the proper awareness which tools are exclusively used for entertainment, which tools are available in a free form for academics, etc. So it's up to us. We need to differentiate and we need to start to implement all these tools in our life at least once. Because we people, some of us might belong to cognitive, some of us might belong to computer science, some of us might not belong to computer science department. Actually, these tools are not only meant for the computer science faculties or computer-based computer-based humans or computer trained humans. Actually, it is open to all. Whoever likes to work, they can work. All they could do is they need to go through the guidelines, accept the terms and conditions, and just cross check. And apart from this slide, personally and professionally, I strongly recommend each and every participant, before you install and work with, even though it is an open source tool, I strongly recommend you to properly maintain the system configuration. Because system configuration, actually, either it could be a desktop or laptop or MacBook or whatever it might be. Apart from the brands, before you try to implement one particular tool, just cross check whether your system configuration works well or not. Because the existence of tools, usage of tools are as simple as that. But before that, it's our duty to look into 2 things: prerequisites. Number 2, configurations. When we settle these 2 things, obviously the usage of tools will be in a fantastic way. Next, there are certain participants who would like to work with code generations. So for those, I strongly recommend few generative AI tools like CodeStarter, Codex, GitHub, Copilot, Tab9. I'm 99% sure that few of us, especially few of you, would have worked with GitHub, Docker, etc., etc. So at least in your lifetime, during your free hours, I strongly recommend you to take all these points to your relevant students, because most of the students, they have been dealing out there with Free Fire, PUBG, etc., etc. They have been working with, they have been playing games during their leisure hours. I'm not against all these games. Of course, they could play games, but in that particular time, apart from game time, they through each and every participant, I would like to make each and every student to work with all these tools, so that definitely once if they step into the organization or if they step into the recruitment processes, apart from syllabus, academic syllabus, if they share all these existence of tools to their concerned human resources, I mean HR people, HR might get impressed with the informations that are delivered by the students, obviously, because most of the students never reveal and they don't know how to expose the existence of tools. If they start to expose and if they start to work with artificial intelligence tools, obviously it may create certain opportunity for them to get impressed and also to get job. Okay, so next thing is I would like to represent another certain use cases, another set of use cases based on generative artificial intelligence, especially these use cases. Actually, a couple of minutes before I have showcased few use cases on a real-time basis. That is exclusively for layman. These use cases are based on industries. Even most important thing is, of course, we may be able to find out fraud detections with the help of generative AI, because we people very well know in 2024 we have been receiving spam calls, we have been receiving suspicious calls, and we have been instructing to share OTP, etc., etc. So hackers, there are different hackers out there. It's up to us. We need to properly safeguard ourselves without sharing our personal and also bank credentials. So artificial intelligence, especially generative artificial intelligence, somehow help us how to deal with these fraud detection systems, how to detect fraud informations, how to detect with the person who involved in illegal activities like hack processes. Next thing is, there are certain legal forms where after the implementation of generative AI, the design, implementation and also interpretations, etc., becomes much more easier. Apart from various organizations, firms, even artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence plays a vital role in medical factors also, in medical line too, because X-rays, cameras, ECGs, etc. After the implementation of AI, the diagnosis, especially the representation of diagnosis, will be in an excellent way, so that obviously doctor could easily diagnose the problem. And most important thing is, apart from the academics, apart from the fault of fraud detection systems, apart from medical field, same generative artificial intelligence can also be implemented in entertainment industry too, medical industry too, and also architectural firms. You know what? In most of the things, even most of the B students, they would like to know much more about artificial intelligence, because they have been dealing with 3D models, they have been dealing with 4D models, they have been dealing with 5D models, especially in the process of the development of blueprint of architectures, building architectures, construction works. So implementation of generative AI clearly helps those students how effectively, so that once if the construction becomes effective, they may be able to sustain in their markets. And also not only in all these general aspects, it plays a vital role in gaming consoles too. I'm not against of game, but at the same time, we need to make our student to work with games and also to know what is the, to know much more about the technology behind the screen of the games. Right. So here in the slide, I believe that all the participants could clearly see three names. First one is generative artificial intelligence. Second one is predictive artificial intelligence. Third one is conversational artificial intelligence. Generative artificial intelligence, it is the primary topic of my session today. Predictive artificial intelligence, conversational artificial intelligence. So I would like to make this opportunity with the help of this slide, exclusively with the help of the current slide. Let me clearly tell you the primary differences between these three different types of artificial intelligences. Generative, we people know, because right from the starting stage of this session itself, I have been continuously representing the advantages, benefits, limitations, processes, generative artificial intelligence models, etc. Let me introduce two artificial intelligence types right now. Predictive artificial intelligence, conversational artificial intelligence. Some of us would have completed our PhD work. Some of the participants are doctors. So few of us would have been worked with data sets. So we people know how to deal with data sets, especially large volume of data sets. So predictive, we always, and also apart from data sets, we also worked with design patterns, data patterns, etc. So patterns clearly help us. They are the registrations of the previous occurrences actually. So predictive artificial intelligence, prediction, it involves in prediction. Suppose if it rains today, I could predict whether it will rain tomorrow. How is it possible? In television channels, most of the television channels, with the help of satellites, they could predict the weather forecasting processes. How is it possible? With the help of predictive artificial intelligence. So based on the registrations on the records of the previous occurrences, I need to refer and I could represent and also I could predict in future. Number two, most of the organizations have been using predictive artificial intelligence. They use patterns, they look into it, they refer it, and they predict. That's it. Conversational artificial intelligence. So here, conversational, we people know. So this type of artificial intelligence plays a vital role and it implements natural language processing. We all know natural language processing along with the usages of two things: deep learning, machine learning. Not only two things, if it is necessary, I can also incorporate various informations, various algorithms too. So on that basis, here natural language processing plays a vital role in conversational artificial intelligence. How effectively I can make my machine to get interacted with humans. Right. Next, you people, yes, next comes best practices of using generative artificial intelligence. So before that, I have showcased you the primary differences between generative, predictive, conversational. Okay, so next thing is best practices. So there should be certain best practices. Suppose if I skip all these best practices, then users may not be able to how to represent all these artificial intelligence in a better way. So here, most important thing is I need to clearly educate my users and consumers how to make use of generative artificial intelligence. Number one. Number two, accuracy level should get increased. The content with accuracy level, that's what each and every consumer expects. If I compromise, obviously the customer will not sustain with me. So the accuracy is one of the important tool. With help of accuracy, I can make my customer to clearly get involved in my processes. Number two, bias should not, the complicated situation should not get increased. I need to make it as simple as that. Simplification is mandatory. Artificial intelligence generated code and the content should get double checked. A quality check is needed. Suppose if I step into a small shops, a petty shops or whatever it might be, a provisional stock, even if I purchase a small item, on the label, on the cover, we could clearly see a tick mark along with QC, quality check. So right from a small product to the large project, or product, either it could be a hardware or software, or whatever it might be, a quality check is necessary before the delivery of the product to the customers. So these are the best practices. And also it is actually we are in a position to clearly understand about the strength, limitations of artificial intelligence. It is also considered as one of the best practices. And this is one of the reason why I have inserted or included limitations of artificial intelligence. I have explained you about the benefits. At the same time, I also explained about limitations because we need to understand both pros and cons of generative AI. It is considered as one of the best practice. Okay, next comes, okay, I would like to clearly tell you about the role of artificial intelligence, especially generative artificial intelligence in video game development. I believe that in the previous days of our FDP, I strongly believe that the previous speakers they wouldn't have touched this particular topic. So I would like to touch this topic and clearly represent about the role of artificial intelligence in video game development. See, most of the, even this trend, actually Gen Z students, they are smart enough, but the only thing is they may not be able to manage their time. They may not be able to manage time and to get involved in academics at the same time to entertain themselves in the form of games or Netflix or whatever it might be, web series, etc. So, as far as the game is concerned, the participation of generative AI in the game development is tremendous. So, I have segregated on different levels. First thing is procedural generation. See here in this particular thing, during the time of game development, with the help of generative AI, during the time of development itself, the developers would have faced various challenges. They will think from the player's side, the gamer side, during the time of development, how effectively they can put their effort in order to make the game which is being created in an effective way. So at that particular time, they implement generative AI in the form of algorithms to create various real life-like experiences. Their only aim is, the game developers' aim is to provide a better game, real life-like experience to the gamers. Number one. So they may be able to use procedural generation process in order to clearly make the gamers to understand without any complicated situations. A dynamic experience should be involved, should get involved. Number two, terrain generation. Terrain generation is all about geographical. Say, for instance, I would like to I would like to suggest a bike race game. In the case of bike race game, obviously we have two things. One is big bikes, off-road bike race. Another one is, say, for instance, racetracks. So, say, for instance, let me take racetracks. So, the terrain, the atmosphere, the real life like experience, the stadium and the cheerful moments, audience response, etc., should be clearly brought into my screen. How is it possible? Of course, it's possible. Only after the implementation of generative AI. Not only generative AI, we have tremendous tools, but generative AI could be clearly implemented in order to provide a better lifelike experience for the gamers, in order to make them to improve their business standards. Terrain always deals with geographical elements. A realistic visuals could be implemented. Next thing is automated. Here also in game also I need to provide automations in the form of different models. 3D models, elements should get automated. Suppose if I effectively make my screen to get involved in 3 dimension, obviously it will be wonderful and it could be attractive and make my gamers to frequently play the games. So that obviously I can improve my business standards. Number two, voice synthesis. So during the time of, say, for instance, I'm not be able to quote the names of games, but there are certain bike race games or car race games or whatever it might be. See, racers will be given instructions. So voiceovers could be implemented and the instructions could be given in the form of voiceovers. So voice synthesis plays a vital role. It is one of the part of generative AI. With the help of generative AI voice synthesis, I can make my gamer who is going to play my game to clearly understand the instructions. Next, voice modifications. If necessary, voice can also be modified. Either it could be for entertainment purpose or whatever it might be. And generative music, especially music lovers may be able to make use of these things, music compositions, music notes, etc. So generative AI, my point is clear. Generative AI is not built or developed only for academic purposes, only for firm organization industry purposes. Apart from that, it is also important during the time of implementation of media and gaming consoles also. Next, future of generative artificial intelligence. How effectively are we going to make my work, and also what could be done? See, future enhancements. Few of us are doctors. We would have completed MPhil before a couple of years. So either it could be MPhil, PhD, or finally a project. We normally make our students to clearly focus on 3 important things: existing system, proposed system, future enhancements. So right from the starting stage of this session till now, I have been dealing with, actually we have been discussing about existing system, proposed system. Before the implementation of generative AI, that is before 1961, after 1961, and what about the future? Right now we are in present situation. We have all the tools. Nothing to worry about that. But what about the future? How are we going to establish the existing generative AI in future? Of course, I have ChatGPT. Suppose in future, if they fine tune and if they if they reframe generative AI, obviously in future we could get better experience, which we are getting now. It is one of the better experience. We can change the word better to best. So future enhancement plays a vital role, obviously. So most of the tools should get implemented and it should get represented in its proper situations. And most important thing is grammar checkers. Normally we face these types of issues during the time of documentation purposes. So even if it is possible, we can also implement generative AI in PhD thesis, grammar checkings, etc. Not only for PhD thesis. Suppose artificial intelligence, especially generative artificial intelligence, can also be get involved in the time of the development of book chapters, books, book publications, journals, Scopus, Web of Science, UGC, whatever it might be. The research papers can also be incorporated. Generative AI could get incorporated in research papers in order to avoid plagiarisms. We all know if we reduce plague, obviously based on the type of, based on the percentage of plague, the paper's quality gets reflected. So I need to improve. If I need to improve my quality of paper, obviously I need to reduce the grammar mistakes. Spell checkers are mandatory. Next thing is training tools should get incorporated. Most of the organizations, training tools plays a vital role in order to deal with various tools. Say for instance, in most of the BPO concerns, two frequently used tools are there. Number one is OneView. Number two is Resolve. Even in HCL, they have been using OneView, Resolve. These two are the real-time tools. Even if it is necessary, generative artificial intelligence can also be incorporated in OneView, Resolve in order to, especially these two tools have been used by the voice process executives, tech support executives. So likewise, in future, generative AI can also be incorporated in various tasks. Okay, so I would like to actually, I have clearly said artificial intelligence can also be treated as one of the ICT tools. Here, few of us may not be able to properly, we may not be aware of the existence of ICT tools, what an ICT tool is. So personally, I would like to touch this topic along with the generative AI. That's why I have included ICT tools. Information and communication technology. We have tremendous tools. Obviously, we have tremendous tools, but artificial intelligence, generative AI is one of the tremendous tools. So ICT, with the help of ICT, how effectively am I going to share my information to the communication with the help of technology? That's what the actual behind the screen process is. I need to share the information to communicate with the help of a technology. So why can't I make generative AI as one of the technology to inform and to communicate with a person? Either that particular person could be a person, human or humanoid, whatever it might be. Okay, so in olden days, we have been dealing with the traditional systems. So as years passed, it's not suggestible for us to sustain the same informations. You know what? Let me tell you one thing. See, in olden days, few organizations they have been dealing with one old traditional system called as legacy system, but the same legacy is totally different. The meaning is totally different. Most of the organizations actually legacy system is one of the computer system. Most of the organizations they have been dealing with, but in recent years, all the organizations they have been trying to they have been shifting from legacy system, the traditional system, to the modern system. Why? One of the reason is they would like to automate everything so that the process, the delivery, the quality, the time could be saved. One of the, these are the major reasons why the automation gets succeeded. And we are in a position to transform from the olden method to the latest technology. Even though the technology gets increased, few of us, including me, we like blackboard teaching. Blackboard teaching will never get replaced, and the satisfaction from the blackboard teaching could not be matched with any technologies. I too accept that. But in recent years, we need to make our students to get educated. So why can't we teach with the help of ICT tools? So we have tremendous, obviously we have tremendous tools like OHP, overhead projectors, televisions, LCDs, etc., etc. Of course, so I strongly recommend each and every faculty to make your respective students in the usage of ICT tools along with generative AI tools. Okay, so here most important thing is information and communication technologies plays a vital role and it's open to all. There's nothing to actually, there are no restrictions. All we need to do is we need to properly choose the proper information, proper tool before the usage of that particular tool. And also we need to make the person to clearly educate how effectively and which tool is applicable to which project, etc., etc. So information and communication technologies should be actually it should be brought into the picture in our daily life. Once if we bring these tools in our daily life, in day-to-day life, we may be able to get wonderful opportunity to learn and to get experience, a wonderful technical experience, so that we can share with our students. Especially these informations could be much more helpful for the students, scholars, academicians, etc. Okay, everyone knows about now. I strongly believe that you would have understood about a basic introduction about ICT, but I would like to tell you some unknown facts about ICT, information and communication technologies. See, we have two broad classifications of communications, especially. One is synchronous, which you could see on the screen. Communication, right now I'm communicating to participants with the help of and also with the support of pencil bits and institution, Hindustan institution. So without the help and support of these two institution and organization, I'm not be able to communicate with you people. So right now I have been using, actually I am using Google Meet as one of the tool, communication tool. So suppose if Google Meet doesn't exist, I would prefer WebEx. I would prefer Zoom, whatever it may be. So we have plenty of opportunities. All we need to do is I need to clearly understand which tool is necessary, which tool is applicable to which particular task. So on that basis, synchronous communication is what you could see on the screen. See, online chat becomes a synchronous. Mobile technology becomes a synchronous. Satellite becomes becomes a synchronous. See, television channel is also considered as one of the synchronous communication. Media persons, suppose if they would like to share the breaking news to the participants, to the viewers, of course, it is also treated as one of the communication from media to the viewers. So all these three categories falls under the synchronous communication: online, mobile, satellite, video conferencing. Next comes asynchronous communication. Asynchronous communication is totally different with the one which we have discussed in the previous slide. In the case of asynchronous, discussion forums, blogs, groups, Wikipedia, Google, SMS, MMS, multimedia services, etc., etc., podcasting, all these categories are treated as asynchronous communications. Even you people won't believe, Google search engine is also treated as asynchronous communication. So I strongly recommend each and every faculties to clearly to take all these points to your students, because few students take Google just for granted, because actually I'm not blaming the students. They don't know. They actually don't have much knowledge and awareness of the importance of the existence of tools. So I kindly recommend each and every faculties to share all these informations to your students and make them to work with the ICT tools along with generative AI. Because in recent times, I would like to share this happy news. In our institutions, Hindustan institutions, we have encouraged our students to participate in various online presentations. And 6 students won gold and silver medals. They have participated in one of the institutions in Malaysia through online, and they have showcased about the existence of ICT tools, along with say for instance, Internet of Things. So when we share the information to the students, at least one or two students may get succeeded. Okay, anyways. Next comes here, I have clearly represented the differences between various things. Traditional classrooms, ICT in education. See, in the case of traditional classrooms, even though right now we live in 2024, even after 25 years or 30 years or whatever it might be, traditional classrooms is one of the best thing. None of the technologies could replace the traditional classroom. Actually, we are in a position to accept two different types of classrooms. We should not eradicate traditional. At the same time, we need to maintain the traditional, and also we need to get involved in ICT tools also. So here classroom environment will be totally different. Even traditional could be treated as synchronous communication, whereas here ICT anytime, anywhere, no timing constraints, etc. Content delivery is much more important in the case of traditional classroom. Actually, content in the case of traditional, we can make use of PPT, vocal systems, etc. In the case of ICT, I can I can share the informations to the blogs. Digital libraries could be recommended, and then synchronous and asynchronous communications could also get involved. Personalization. In the case of personalization, in traditional classroom, it is treated as one learning path, whereas here learning path and pace determined by learner. It means personalization depends upon we make the student to learn in classroom, whereas apart from classroom, based on the personal choice of the learner, he can prefer anything. Right. So here, most important thing is how effectively ICT can help learning in the learning fraternity. Of course, we can improve the skills, interpersonal skills, life skills, soft skills, industry standards, industry readiness. One of the major drawback which I saw in a few students community is industry readiness. Most of the students, they are willing to speak, but they have fear to expose themselves. How are we going to make them to come out of it? So with the help of ICT tools, once if we showcase the ICT tools, we deal with Gen Z students. So most of the 2K kids, especially 2K kids, they are much aware of technologies. So once if we make them to understand about the existence of ICT tools, once if they get attracted, obviously they slowly start to expose about the implementation of the tools. So that obviously I can bring, of course, we can bring the hidden talents and hidden skills from the students who feel shy to expose themselves. And most important thing is we need to, being a faculty member, it's our sole responsibility to make and also to bring the hidden talents and new innovative ideas. For that purpose only, even government in most of the states, both central and state governments, they have been through through the faculty members, most of the central and state government have been trying its best to bring the hidden potential talents from students. They have been encouraging the students in startups. MHRD, like MHRD, EDC, Entrepreneurship Development Cell. I believe that in your institutions also, we could have Entrepreneurship Development Cell. It is one of the excellent cell. Suppose, actually, if you students don't like to get placed in MSc corporates, they don't like to work with humans, humanoids, etc., etc. They like to start their business. Fine, well and good. It depends upon their self-interest. But being a faculty member, we need to make them to understand about the existence. So ICT also helps them in all these factors, especially. Okay. So most important thing is I need to actually here I would like to tell you about some unknown fact about ICT. Green ICT. Green ICT is one of the type of ICT where I need to make my students, we need to make our student to go paperless. In the sense, we need to avoid deforestation, number one. Number two, environment hazard should be totally eradicated. That is also treated as one of the green ICT. Meaning is, when I start to work with one particular ICT tool, it should not reflect and also it should not create hazardous to the society. So all those ICT tools becomes green ICT. I need to reduce power consumptions. I need to go paperless. I need to reuse. Recycling is strongly recommended by the organizations. Visualization is mandatory, optimization is mandatory. Of course, in recent years, we have been dealing with Google computing, virtual cloud platforms. So visualization plays a vital role. So whenever we start to make our students to work with visualizations, cloud platforms, obviously it reduces the hazardous to the societies. So it's our responsibilities with the help of green ICT. Somehow we can reduce costs. Somehow we can create a negative. Obviously, we could avoid the negative impact on the environment, etc., etc. We could improve the business standards because it's our commitment. We need to properly furnish all those informations with the help of technologies. Yes. Any questions? Any questions? Am I audible? Am I audible, participants? Any questions from participants?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Participants, any questions?
Participants, if you have any doubt, you can ask, or else shall we wind up the session, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Participants, if you feel shy or if you have any inconvenience to share your thoughts or suggestions or through, in the form of questions, you are most welcome to post in the chat box so that I could fulfill your requirements. Any clarifications regarding the usage of ICT tools, artificial intelligence, etc., etc.? Any questions from the audience side, participants? And I believe that the informations, the takeaway, all those points, I need all the participants to take it to your respective students and encourage them to get involved in the practice of the usage of tools, especially. Thank you, participants, and thank you, Pencil Bits.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank you, Jaikumar sir, for the excellent session, and thank you for all the participants for being patiently. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. And I take this opportunity to thank Pencil Bits organization and senior officials. And I also thank higher officials, principal sir, head of the department for permitting me and providing this opportunity to share some unknown information to my own dear participants. Thank you so much. And also, I'm happy to share my session and all those informations on this auspicious day. Happy Onam once again to all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.